Hey, what's going on YouTube? UA Reviews here, and today I have a Football 101 video, and today's topic is how I believe the game of football has changed. So this is going to be a little different Football 101 setting than my first two videos, but it's something that I've wanted to talk about here. It's something I've also observed as far as how I believe the game of football has changed. And what I mean by that is the gear. All the gear that players wear. I really do believe that the football gear of today, this modern time, has kind of had a positive and negative effect on the game of football. And I'll get into some more details about that, but let me give you a little background of some kind of starting information of how I kind of led to believe that the game has really changed. Okay, so if any of you have been longtime subscribers to my channel, you will already know that I no longer play football. The last time that I played organized football was in 2011, so I've been out of the game now for 2 years, and there's just been this something that I've noticed from today's current football players, and just watching all these review videos on football gear and just kind of being a part of this YouTube community has definitely changed some of my beliefs and just kind of how I believe the game is going in a different direction and has totally evolved from when I played back in high school. Now, there was this time from when I transitioned from a high school football player to a college football player. There was just this stigma that if you look good, you'll play good. Now, that all stems from, I think, a Deion Sanders quote that if you look good, you'll feel good, you play good, you'll get paid good. So, not sure if that's the exact quote, but it's in something like that. Now, in today's game, there's so much a part of the game based on the gear that you wear on the field, and it's about how you look good and how you wear it kind of makes you who you are. Now, I don't think that's necessarily looked at by everyone out there. It may just be between players in themselves, or just a belief that you have in yourself. Personally, in my opinion, the game of football should never be about the one person I. It should always be about team. That's why there's no I in team, obviously. That's where that comes from. Now, the whole thing about looking good and feeling good and you playing good has just all kind of stemmed from my belief of, the gear that we wear out there today playing football influences what our overall mentality of what the game of football actually is. And I think a lot of players overlook this. It's not about the gear that you wear, and some people won't like to hear this, but it's really about how you play out there. Now, in terms, you have to have some of the gear out there to perform the way you do. You have to have cleats, gloves, all that extra stuff to perform well. But if you ask yourself this question, is it actually necessary? Now, some people won't like to hear that because, it may be their tradition to wear their wristbands a certain way or their towel behind their belt loop or, something like that. It's just, I don't have anything against players that think that way. But from what I believe, I just think the gear that we wear out there today has influenced us so much that there's more about it's more about me and myself and not what I'm doing for the team. Now, football obviously is a team game, but it can take that one player to have the wrong mentality that can actually screw up a team. And you see it even at the highest level in the NFL, where sometimes the right mentalities don't fit together, and it ends up failing for the team. Now, in the time that I've been away from the game of football, I've kind of strayed myself away from the actual game of football itself and kind of taken a backseat to just being an observer of the game and, the players of today. And so much about today is on the little things that, back then you didn't even think of or even would notice or take the time to actually observe and to make sure everything looks good and everything like that. But just in general, to give you guys an example, football socks, and it all kind of stems from the Nike Basketball Elite socks and how that kind of blossomed to it in its own into its own market in itself. Back when I played in high school, we didn't have the fancy socks that you guys do out there today. We didn't have $15 pairs of socks. If you paid $15 for one pair of socks, you were out of your mind. And you try and honestly, what you try to do is get like the 6-pack of socks for about $20, and you'd have enough to get through the whole week. But there's so much today about just football socks, and every brand's got their own football sock that they advertise, and it's just a part of the game now. The football gloves is another big thing, and it's debated on my channel and just everything out there on YouTube about the football gloves. If you just think about players back in the day. I mean, did they have football gloves that can stick to anything and catch everything? I mean, no, they use their bare hands. And is that a knock on today's football players? I don't think so, because I mean, if you would have handed like a 1930s football player a pair of football gloves now, he'd be an All-American, or he would catch 100 balls. But that's just my belief. But I don't necessarily think that football gloves influence your play. Obviously, you still have to catch the ball and still have to have the fundamentals to catch the ball. There's just so much about football swag, and football swag's another thing that I don't like the word swag at all. It's something that, in my personal opinion, what football swag is something that's not necessarily what you need, but it's more about that thing about looking good and feeling good and playing good. Now, if you went back and took some older football players and took them into a locker room of today, they'd probably be shocked at what goes on in there as far as like getting ready before a game. You got guys in front of mirrors taking pictures and posting that on Instagram of what they look like before their game. It just kind of makes me wonder, where are players' heads at before the game of football begins? Is it more about how I look? Is it more about the gloves I'm wearing, the socks I got on, the wristbands are on? Is it about the towel I got hanging off my belt loop? Is it about having my back plate show out the back of my jersey? Is it all about that? I mean, you could say it is, but you just have to wonder. I mean, where is your... you have to draw the line somewhere in yourself, and just believe that, this stuff isn't really about me. It's about how I actually perform on the field. Now, people will say and argue that, the gear it's to help me be the player that I am, and playing good just comes with that. I mean, football is it's a team sport. There's going to be times where you're not always going to play good, no matter what you're wearing, because the game of football is just so. It's that team atmosphere. One player can make the difference between winning and losing. It's such a cut and dry game that's just so. It's just a really diverse game that's. It's interesting to be a part of. If you've never been a part of the game of football, you can only understand what the actual mentality is. But just in today's world, I just believe it's changed in such a way that's it's influenced the entire game in itself. And I can stem in about 100 different ways that I also believe this, but I really think I'm going to stop here because I don't want to keep you guys here too long. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you guys would just chime in what you guys believe in with this looking good and feeling good, and the whole how the game has changed in this mentality of looking good and feeling good and playing good. It's something that amazes me, but you may not understand it because you're a current football player, but once you leave the game, or we're in that transition period where I am to where it is now, it's something it's amazing to me. But leave your comments down below. Make sure to subscribe to this channel. Check out me, follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I guess we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.